All right, number four. The number four reason that I hear is just to set an example. People are wanting to improve the air quality, reduce the pollution, and the water pollution that they're dealing with. A couple years back, my wife and I thought that we were retired. And we were talking, my father had a mild heart attack, and so I went to go see him. He lived in Arizona, and my oldest daughter flew down to visit. And while she was there, she said, "Hey, are you guys ever going to come and play Grandma and Grandpa?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, why don't you come be with the grandkids in Utah with us?" And I was like, "Well, you guys can come to our house." But one of my pet peeves when I was a kid is that I don't think my parents visited my kids as much as they wanted. And I thought, we need to be better grandparents. And so we decided to go to Utah. Well, I flew to Utah before we moved there in late December, early January, just after Christmas. And I was thinking, hey, I'm going to show up in pristine Utah, and it's going to be beautiful there. And I'll go skiing, and it'll be clean mountain air, and we'll love it. And I'll be able to get rid of my, you've heard me cough a couple of times, my allergy-induced asthma, right? That I had had for many years. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And we get there, and this is what I see. And I'm like, oh my heavens, this is horrible. Did you know, and unless you've lived there, you probably don't, Salt Lake City has some of the worst air in the nation. And as they reported there at KSL, it isn't even by a close margin. You know what started happening to me when I got there? I started coughing even worse than I'd coughed before. I usually only got my cough, as I said, allergy-induced asthma, when I was, except when I'm thinking about it, my allergy-induced asthma only happened in places where I was allergic to something, so like in the spring or whatever. And I get out there and there's snow everywhere, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I allergic to here? Nothing is budding, there's no flowers, there's no pollen. Why am I coughing? And I coughed so much during those first 4 months that we were there in Utah, during January through March or April, that I actually ended up with an umbilical cord hernia. I coughed my insides to my outsides. Who paid for that? Well, because I'm a Marine, or was a Marine, the VA hospital there in Salt Lake paid for it. Or you did, the taxpayer, right? I guess the question is, did Kennecott Mine pay for it? Did Rocky Mountain Power pay for it? We've got that crappy air quality, and they're not paying for my bill. You paid for it because I'm a veteran. Anyhow, I didn't really plan on going off on that, but that's, there's a lot of people that aren't just tree huggers from Oregon that want to improve our environment. Who would have thunk that you could go up to Salt Lake to go enjoy the skiing in a beautiful mountain resort and have the worst air quality in the nation? Anyhow, if you like fishing in clean lakes and streams, you want to eat the fish you catch, you can't do it in most of the western states where I grew up. I grew up fishing with my uncles. Family reunion every year. Can't do it anymore. You catch and you release. You can't eat them because there's too much mercury in the fish. There in Utah, I saw that sign too. Wasteful watering. You need less than you think. That was one of the signs. And you're always trying to get us to use less water there in Utah. And rightfully so, right? We're in a desert. It's just a high desert, right? And they're always saying, did we get enough snow this year to take care of the water basin? But you know who consumes the most water? The power plants. The average American family of 4 consumes 400 gallons a day of water, flushing the toilets, swimming pools, watering your lawn, etc. Did you know that same family of 4, to provide for the electricity that they need in their home, the power plants have to use 1,600 gallons of water to cool those huge stacks that you always see blowing that white smoke up? I saw this ad once, and it showed this little girl here, and it said, hey, if you want to save water, turn off the spigot while you brush your teeth. And I thought to myself, no, turn off the light and brush your teeth in the dark, and you'll save more water. Anyhow, this is what it looks like up there. Like I said, I was raised in Arizona. I went scout camps all the time up at Lake Powell and on the Colorado as it feeds into Lake Powell. We went floating a number of times as scouts, and this is what that thing's done. There's no more water. My aunt and uncle live in Overton, Nevada, and Lake Mead is just down the street, and now it's a long ways away because there's no more water. So power plants consume more water, and they pay less for it than cities and farms, not even including us residential consumers, right? So the sign is right. Wasteful watering. You need less than you think. But where you don't need it is by getting rid of the electricity that's bought from a coal plant and putting solar on your home, and you're going to bring back more water to the area. So if the western states that I've grown up in really want more water, it isn't to let your yards turn brown. It's to get that electricity on top of your roof instead of out of Lake Powell or, Four Corners area in Arizona and New Mexico. In fact, look at that. See that white stuff? That's not smog. That's steam. Now, it's laden with mercury, and that's why you can't drink the fish or eat the fish that you catch. But that white stuff is mostly steam, and they're sucking it right out of the Colorado River and Lake Powell. So that is where our water is going. They have to keep those plants cool. Ronald Reagan, I was in high school when Ronald Reagan had his debut, and he said in his State of the Union address, the preservation of our environment is not a liberal or a conservative challenge. It's just common sense. As I said, I was a scout. In fact, I'm an Eagle Scout. And I was taught that you leave your campground a little bit cleaner than when you got there. And I'm not so sure that my generation has done that for my grandkids. The Pope said, together we pledge our commitment to raising awareness about our stewardship of creation. And I thought about those words, the stewardship of creation. Is this creation we live on the earth really our stewardship? Well, if I was taught properly as a Boy Scout, then yes. I have a stewardship to leave cleaner the campground, in this case our earth, than the way I got it. And I'm not sure that my generation has done that for my children and grandchildren. And that's not because I'm a tree hugger from Oregon. It's because I can look at the reality of the situation and go, you know what? We can produce electricity without having to pollute. And there's a lot of other things that we can do without having to pollute. So my daughter gave me this poster years ago, Be the Change That You Wish to See in the World by Gandhi. I guess the question becomes, if I'm not that change, then who is? And if you want to be that change, then do just one simple thing, put solar on your home and lower your costs anyhow.